The other day I showed you how we made a jig with the Eufy Make UV printer using the small flatbed. The important takeaway from this project was the fact that I showed you how we size our projects within Canva so our images don't get resized in the Eufy Make software. Today, essentially, we're gonna do the same exact project, making a different jig, but this time, I'm not only gonna be using 100% free software called Inkscape, but I'm also gonna create the jig for this right here. I'm going to show you that it is possible to create files within the free program called Inkscape that can guarantee that things don't get resized. So it makes crafting a lot quicker with the Eufy Make UV software, because the one thing that drives me absolutely crazy about their software is everything gets resized and I have to spend extra time doing more work. I don't like doing that. So let's head over to the computer where I'm going to show you how to create a jig and also a file that does not resize with the Eufy Make UV printer, and we'll end up having some really cool keychains by the end of this project. Let's go. The very first thing you need to do, which is the most important, is you need to come up here into File. It's going to be cut off for you, but you're going to see, for me, it's an Apple icon, Inkscape, File, Edit, View, Layer, Object Path, Text, Filters, Extensions, and Help. At the very top, you're going to see File, and what you want to do is click on that and do Document Properties. Now for today's project, I'm going to be creating a jig for the larger flatbed for the Eufy Make UV printer. However, you could do the same thing if you wanted to create the small one like this that we did the other day. The thing that's most important with this particular project today is going to be the size of which you create your document, okay? So this right here, I have my little notes about the sizing. What you're gonna need to do is make sure it's over in the millimeters, and for the width, you are going to need, if you are doing the small one, you're gonna need the width to be 333 millimeters, and then you're gonna need the height to be 88. Then you can see over on the back of my screen behind this box that this right here, this white rectangle, that's gonna be the dimensions for the smaller flatbed. However, again, we are gonna be doing a jig for the larger one. So those dimensions that you are going to need, you're gonna keep it at 333 millimeters, but the height for this one is going to be 418 millimeters. Pressing return. So you're gonna have one big rectangle that looks like this. Once that's done, just press the X button. And on your computer, if you just press the minus key, you can zoom out, and there you have it. You have the actual bed size of what your machine can do. Now what you want to do is insert whatever it is that you're going to want to create the jig for. For me personally today, what I am going to do is, I actually have a side gig. I didn't know if you knew this. But I coach people how to sell on Etsy, and it's something that I do just for a few hours each week. And the program that I coach under, they're doing a beach retreat and they're looking for some keychains. So I was like, yeah, I'll totally make your keychains for you. So they have given me their PNG file. So I am just going to find that PNG file and drag and drop it into the Inkscape program. Now this box always pops up, and to be honest with you, I have used Inkscape for like 9 years, for a really long time. I have never pressed any of these buttons. I always just press OK. All right, this right here is going to be large and in charge, so I'm just going to drag this over here. Now this particular project is going to be a two-step project, just like every other video that I do that has using the xTool P2S and also the Eufy Make UV printer, is that I have to technically create two different files. I need to create an SVG file that we can cut on the xTool, and then I need a PNG file that we can print on the Eufy Make UV printer. So what I need to do first, because this is only a PNG file, is I need to make it an SVG file. So what I'm gonna do is with this clicked, I'm gonna come over here into Trace Bitmap. If this box doesn't automatically pop up for you, you can also right click and you can see it right here where it says Trace Bitmap, click that button. And then this is gonna pop up. Now you can see I have this right here, it's checked, it says live preview, and you can see that I have a white square on my screen. What I want you to do is take this threshold button, and I want you to go all the way to the right. Now this particular file is actually pretty important. Do you see how in my original PNG file I have like a white larger outline, and then we have pink? The white larger outline is what I'm going to need to cut out in white acrylic. The pink and all the rest of the colors, like the passive burners with a beach little chair, that is actually going to be printed with the UV printer, okay? If I were to stop here, what this is the pink. I need to go a little bit further, so I'm just gonna press my little plus button until I get to here. So do you see how when I went from 992 to 993, all of a sudden now I have like the actual full cutout circle? That's perfect. When I have that, I'm just gonna press apply. Now with this right here, I'm just going to drag this over just for a second because I don't need it for right now, but I will need it in the future. And I'm gonna go back into this one. Technically, this PNG file, you could take it over to the Eufy Make software and print, but the issue here is that you see that white outline. If I were to drag this over into the Eufy Make software, the Eufy Make will print all that white. I don't want to print the white outline. I'm going to cut it out in white acrylic and then only print out the colors, okay? So I'm going to conserve on ink and I'm just going to eliminate that white border. So what I'm going to do is come back down here and I'm going to do the 0.992, just like that. And then I'm going to press apply. Okay, now what we have to do, there's one additional step that we have to do to eliminate the white in this PNG file. What you need to do is select both pieces, the larger original PNG file that you put into Inkscape, and then also that black outline thing that we have here. Then what you want to do is come up here into object. Remember, it's cut off for you. You're going to look for it's going to be object. And then we're going to go into clip and then set clip. And do you see how now all that white has been removed and we are only left with what I actually want to print? Good job. Perfect. All right, now what we want to do is I'm going to take this one. I am just going to turn it white for right now just so we can see what we're doing. And I'm going to send this to the back. Okay, I'm going to select both of these pieces, what is going to be printed and then what's going to be cut. And I'm going to come over here into align and distribute. And I'm going to do last selected and I'm going to center these together. Now what I want you to do is resize your project to the size that you need. So my finished keychains, what they told me they wanted was 3 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the millimeters and change it over to inches. I'm going to make sure my dimensions are locked. And I'm going to end up making these, I'm going to choose the larger of the two because they want 3 inches in total. So the larger one is going to be the height for my PNG file or my laser PNG file. And I'm going to do 3 inches and press return. Now for my particular project, I actually have to put a hole in my acrylic, the acrylic layer of my project. So before I do anything more, I'm just going to add in a hole to my white layer only. If you're not making a keychain like me, this step is going to be unnecessary for you, but I'm going to walk you through it just in case you've never played with Inkscape before, okay? So what you're going to do is come over here into the circle, and I'm just going to draw a circle. You could like press shift or something like that on your keyboard to like make this like a perfect circle, but you know, I have to resize it anyway. So I just like put a random circle in there. I don't really care what size it is. Then what I'm going to do is come up here into the arrow tool. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to unlock my dimensions. Now I'm actually kind of unsure what size circles I should probably make a keychain hole, but I'm thinking like 0.1 by 0.1 should be all right. Let me change this over to a different color so we can see what we're doing here. And let me drag this over to my keychain. I feel like 0.1 is going to be all right. Look at this white outline. The white outline, remember, is going to be white acrylic in the end. And I think that that's going to be really good. I'm going to put it right there directly in the middle, up in the center, just to ensure that I actually have it in the center. What I'm going to do is having my circle selected, I'm going to press shift on my keyboard. And I'm going to click my white outer layer, that white one, and I'm going to just make sure it's centered in there. You can see that like my circle just moved over just a little bit. That's all right. All right. Now that I have that done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Command Shift and the minus key. Okay. When I do that, watch what happens. That gray, that dark gray circle, I'm going to press the button. And do you see how now it went away? And now you can see the light gray. That's my work area. That means it's going to cut right out there. If you don't want to do your keyboard shortcuts, or if you don't have a Mac like me, pressing Shift selecting your circle, pressing shift, and then also the white layer. If you go into path, you would just do difference. Also, I would like to know if you are using a Windows, your keyboard shortcuts are clearly going to be different than my Mac ones. Over here on the right, you're going to see all the keyboard shortcuts for you. So if you're using a Windows and it's different, just look at those and start remembering. I wish they had like a keyboard shortcut thing, you know, that you could see, print out and see. I think like Adobe has something like that, but I've never found one for Inkscape. So anyways, pressing difference, making sure it's sliced in there. All right. Now, if you are not creating a keychain, but you are wanting to create a jig with me, we're moving forward, okay? That last step, that was only something I had to do because I was making a keychain, okay? But this just shows you how easy Inkscape is to use and 100% free, which I love. Remember in the Canva one, we actually had to pay for things over in Canva. Not the point. Anyways, moving forward. What you want to do now is you want to select both of your pieces just for right now. Ooh, I do know that I want to change this white over to a different color just so you can see what I'm doing. You don't have to do this step. It may be easier for you to see it because if I were to keep this as white and then also have this white square, this white rectangle, it's going to be really difficult to see where we're supposed to be putting things, okay? So I'm just going to select my white thing and I am just going to create the most ornery color ever just so we can see where are we going. All right, we'll do this one, okay? Doesn't match, that's fine. We are going to change it later, but just so we can see what we're doing right now, okay? So let's select both of these pieces and we are going to Command G, which is group, or you could right click and press group right here. I still have this size the way I want it. I'm just going to lock this. That was optional. You don't have to do that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out, which is the minus key on your keyboard, and I am going to place in 1. You do not want your keychains or whatever it is that you're making to hang off here. It won't export the way you want it to. So you want to make sure that whatever you put, it stays within this rectangle. This is key and important for things not to get resized over in the Eufy Make, okay? So we're gonna take this, we set one up, we're gonna Command D, which is duplicate. It will look like nothing happened, but if you click and drag, there it is. If you also don't want to do keyboard shortcuts, right, and then copy paste or just duplicate, it gives you essentially the same thing, okay? All right, I think I'm only gonna be able to get 4 on a page. Ooh, maybe I can get, ooh, yeah. Okay, I can get 4 in a row. Now that I have all the 4s, I'm just gonna select the one row. I'm gonna make sure everything is aligned and distributed evenly because Lord knows I get annoyed when they don't. Okay, now that we have that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna duplicate the full row and I'm just gonna create a bunch of these jigs. I have to make a total of 30 of them. All right, so for me, because again, I am a stickler for things being even and you know, all the things, I'm gonna select all of my rows, just the rows individually and group them. And then I'm gonna select everything and I'm gonna make sure it's all centered and then even distributedly. Now that I have that done, I'm just gonna select everything. I'm gonna Command Shift and ungroup and keep ungrouping until we have all of those available. See how everything is now ungrouped. You're gonna see the larger squares and the smaller squares right here and everything. Perfect, you did a good job. We're almost done. I truly don't think that these projects are hard. There's just a lot of steps, but once you do them, like when I'm not recording content, I can like breeze through this stuff. So just know that like, while it is taking me a long time to talk you through it, it's because I got to dialogue you through it, you know what I mean? But once you do it once, and you're like a fine oiled machine. It's like the same stuff over and over and over again. All right, pause. I'm sure I just gave you a jump scare and I'm sorry. If you are following along with me to create your jig for the xTool P2S and also the Eufy Make UV Printer, I need you to pause and don't do anything more until I tell you to. Okay, because, and you know, and I decided I'm not gonna edit out the, like what I'm about ready to show you is wrong because it's not technically wrong. I make all the right steps. The problem is I have a sizing issue with the xTool. And then I'm gonna show you that I mess up and then how do we fix it? Okay, so it's kind of important nuggets of information, but I do want you to know that if you are watching this and following along, some of these next steps are wrong. So I will let you know when we get to a point where you can actually continue following along making your jig, okay? I'll be back. Okay, so what I want you to do now is let's just like zoom out. Just like when we created the jig for the golf balls, we're gonna have to create like a square around that, and that's going to be like this actual rectangle, okay? So we're gonna come over here into this rectangle tool, and I am gonna create this rectangle the same size as my actual bed size or the project size, okay? So let's just click out of that. So we're gonna click this. We clicked the, did I miss that step? Click this rectangle and just create a size. We are gonna create this size, the size of the bed. Now what I want you to do is come over here and press the arrow tool, and then we are gonna set our dimensions up to millimeters, unlock this, and remember we need to resize this to 333, and then the height is going to be 418 millimeters. All right, now we're going to drag this into the center of our page. If you wanted, you can come over here and do center to page, and then we can just make sure it's like that. All right, let's change this over to a different color, and then we're gonna send this to the back. Okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna create the jig first, all right? So let's just zoom in, and what we are going to do is now we are gonna select all of our little, do you see these? Like the dark blues that I have, we're gonna select them. So we're gonna select one, shift on the keyboard, and then select another one, and then select another one, and we're gonna keep going. So just press shift on your keyboard and then keep going until you have all of your items that you need to cut out on your laser cutter. If you accidentally select the not one, like you see how I selected the printed one, not that, not the cut one, you can unclick that and then go back up. So you don't have to start back over. That's one thing for a long time. I thought that I had to start back over and I was so mad, but yeah, just a simple unclick and you're good. Okay, so now when we have everything selected, what I'm gonna do is I am going to Command Shift and the plus sign. We are welding everything together, okay? Now remember when I said I had to do 2 turns with these, I have to technically make 30. What I'm gonna do first for me, you don't have to do this, is I'm gonna Command D, which is duplicate, because I'm gonna have to again cut more in a little bit. And also this is just gonna show you that why jigs are so important for things like this, because I'm gonna be able to set up my print, hurry up and like switch it out, put the new ones in, and then press print again, and it's just gonna make the workflow a lot easier, okay? But going back over to the original one, I am going to select my welded blue outlines, shift on the keyboard, and then also that pink square. And we are gonna Command Shift and the minus key. Remember we used that earlier when I created that circle. This is why this is like relevant information, okay? Now with this right here is going to be the jig that I'm gonna I'm gonna cut out. So I'm gonna drag this over here, okay? All right, so this is what your final project is going to look like. Everything that is in this rectangle right here, do not touch it at all, okay? If you are gonna create multiples so we can do multiple prints like me, like these keychains, you're gonna have something like this. If not, you're gonna have these two right here. You're gonna have your jig that we're gonna cut out, which kind of looks something like this that we created with Canva. And then you're gonna have your printed design, okay? Don't touch the printed design. We are gonna work on the laser jig first, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select my laser jig. I am going to, right here where it says fill, I'm going to right click and I'm gonna say remove fill. I'm gonna make sure my stroke is set to black. Then what I'm going to do is I'm gonna select this number. You're gonna see it and it says stroke width, right click on that, and I'm gonna do 0.1. Now what I'm gonna do is essentially the same thing to the other one that's over here, okay? You don't have to do this if you don't have it on here, but just for the stroke width that says unset, I'm gonna set it to black, right click this number and set it to 0.1. All right, coming back over here to this one, what I want you to do is select it and then come over here into export. If you don't have this, you can go into file and then export, okay? I wanna make sure that you are on the selection because we are only going to export the laser SVG file. I'm gonna come over here and do you see how I have it already set to plain SVG? That's what I want you to do. And we are gonna come into this folder and I'm gonna rename this PES keychain cut file. All right, I'm gonna put this into my downloads folder, and then we are just gonna press save. All right, going over into the xTool Creative Space software. If you don't have an xTool laser, but you have a different laser, or if you have a diode laser and you wanted to do this same steps using wood, you totally could, just like with the golf ball video. Okay, I am not gonna update, just like the last time, don't tell my husband, because he still doesn't watch me. All right, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find my SVG file and I'm gonna drag and drop it into the xTool program. This is important. Display the original size. Don't resize this. All right, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna zoom out. So I'm just gonna press this minus key and I'm gonna zoom out. And then I am going to turn this over to the side. Oh, you're annoying. You don't fit? I'm gonna have to redo this because it doesn't fit. How freaking annoying is this? Okie dokie artichoke, clearly you just saw that I was like, crap, this doesn't fit. So everything moving forward, you can create and do with me because it's all gonna be correct, I promise. Let's go. All right, so it looks to me as if I'm only gonna get 3 rows to cut out for my laser cutter. So what I'm gonna do is back in Inkscape, I'm gonna select this right here, this row, and I'm just going to delete it. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select my pink rectangle and I'm gonna hug it. Okay, all right. Now what you want to do is the same thing as we did before where we select all of the blue outlines. Then what you want to do is Command Shift and the plus sign because we're gonna weld it together. Command D and duplicate because I need to have another set. Okay, going back over into the original one, selecting the blue outlines, Shift on the keyboard, and also that pink outline, we're gonna Command Shift and the minus key, and then we're gonna drag this over here. All right, we now have to readjust all of the colors, just like what we did before. Come over here, doing the same thing. You're annoying me. We're gonna come over here, remove the fill. We're gonna do a black line, and we are going to do 0.1 for that. We're gonna work on the jig first. So we're gonna take that jig, and I am going to do PES, keychain cut file 2. And then press save. We're going to just delete this because I did it wrong. And we are going to drag this into the xTool program. Again, we are going to not resize this. It needs to be set to this normal size. Now I'm gonna drag, it fits. It fits. All right, that's perfect. Okay, so at this point, what we have to do is we have to turn on our xTool laser cutter. Insert the material that you want into the xTool. I'm gonna be using white acrylic, so that's what I'm gonna do. So let's do that. All right, so I just turned my xTool on and inserted my white acrylic. I have 2 sheets that I'm gonna have to cut. Once everything is turned on, you can see that it whoa, I got too much going on. First, we are going to say no to that and then exit out of that. Okay, so you're gonna see that it auto refreshes to what I have in my laser bed. This is a live camera preview of what's inside the laser bed. Every single time I do any type of cuts or engraves, I always like to come over here to aimed measure, and you're gonna put this little rectangle on the material that you're gonna be cutting or engraving. This just makes for like the best cut settings. Then I'm gonna come over here into unknown material, and I am going to do the 3mm black. Yes, I'm using white, but to be honest with you, if it's the same thickness, white, black, orange, clear, whatever, it's all gonna be the same, okay? So I just click the black and I just press confirm, press got it. Acrylic is flammable, so you wanna make sure that you pay attention to it. So we're gonna select this and I'm gonna come over here to cut. And I love my cut settings at the 100 power, 7 speed. It does take a little bit longer to cut, but I always get the best cuts with this setting. All right, so I'm just gonna hug this over here. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to cut this out. So I'm just gonna press process. It's gonna take a total of 21 minutes and 56 seconds. That's all right with me. We're just gonna press start and then press OK process. I know I already said this, but I'm gonna say it again. Laser equals fire. So if you're new to the laser world, make sure that when you're especially cutting acrylic is very flammable, that we pay mind to our laser. Don't turn the laser on and then walk out the room. Don't do that, okay? All right, now what you want to do at this point is press the little happy button. Oh, wait, that's not true. We're not doing that. First, what we have to do is we have to turn this on, the air filter. So that you need to turn on first or vent out of a window. Then what you do is press the happy button. And then this is going to start cutting. So I will see you in about 21 minutes when this is done. All right, so we got to turn off the air filter. It took a total of like 20 some odd minutes. And we have, this is going to be our finished jig. This thing right here. Okay, so for this, I don't have to peel off the masking tape because it really doesn't matter. But for all these other pieces, I do have to peel off the masking tape, at least off the front of them for right now. Okay, so here is the finished piece of acrylic that got cut out. I'm just going to take my weeding tool pen. My least favorite part about working with acrylic is the fact that we have to peel off all of the paper masking. It kind of sucks. And then something like this, there's just so many different crevices and stuff like that. It's just not a very fun project at all. Since it's gonna take me like 7.5 million years to print all the paper masking tape off of these keychains, what I'm gonna do is set in my second piece of acrylic, and I'm gonna set this up to cut the rest of the pieces that I need, and then I can just peel while these are cutting and then continue to peel. You know what I mean? Okay, so I have the rest of my things cut out, but now what we have to do is insert our large flatbed into the Eufy Make UV printer. So we're just going to slide this into the hatch, push it down, and then lock it into place. Okay, so for today's project, what you want to do is you want to take this thing, this is going to be what we cut out, and I am going to focus in on this corner, the bottom left corner. The last time when we created the jig for the golf ball, we did the bottom right. Because my full jig would not fit into my xTool, I had to create it. When I created it to fit to the bottom left. So we're just gonna hug the bottom left just like that. It's going to be lined up here and here along the sides. Perfect, you wanna push down your things. Then what we're going to do is we are going to take our acrylic blanks. These are the ones that I have peeled. Now we are using acrylic, so what you're going to do is needing to prep the surface a little bit. You could use rubbing alcohol, but I'm going to get fancy and do one of these. This is those adhesion promoter pads. One of these pads goes a long way, but they do dry out fairly quick, so kind of want to move a little quick. What I'm going to do is just take one of these and I'm going to rub where I'm going to print. Make sure not touch it with your hands after you're done rubbing, and then you're going to drop it into the slot. Okay, doing the same thing, we are just going to rub and drop. You want to make sure that your top center with the hole, if you're doing a keychain, is on the top, and you're just going to rub. You don't have to like press or do anything else like really crazy. You just want to make sure and rub where you're going to be printing. This is just promoting for a very good adhesion when you're printing. You want to do the adhesion prep pads for things like non-coated metal. That one is off. Non-coated metal, glass, acrylic, anything that doesn't have a lot of grit to it. If you're doing wood, like if you're UV printing on wood, you don't have to. All right, make sure everything goes in its spot. And you see how this one isn't, I don't know if you're gonna be able to tell, but this one right here, the hole is like not in the center. So I'm just gonna pick it up and make sure and move it to the center. You wanna make sure that your alignment is perfect, because the whole point of a jig is that you're gonna have perfect alignment and perfect projects when we get done printing. All right, now that that's done, what I'm going to do now is head over to the computer. First, what I'm going to do at the Eufy Make Studio is I'm going to make sure and I'm going to change it from mini flatbed to the standard flatbed. And then I'm going to create a snapshot. While that's running, what I'm going to do is head over into Inkscape. Now this right here, see this right here? This is going to be what we're going to export, okay? Now before we were on selection when we exported, what I want you to do is make sure you're on page. Okay, I am going to change over my DPIs to 300 because I want to make sure that I have really good quality in my prints. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this over from SVG over to PNG. We're going to rename this one into your downloads folder as PES print keychain or whatever it is that you're doing, and press save. Now what we're going to do is head over into the Eufy Make software, which is Eufy Make Studio, and we are going to find that download file and drag and drop it into the Eufy Make Studio. When we do that and it's going to load in, you're going to see that it automatically just drops into the software, does not resize, doesn't center itself or anything like that. That's because we made sure and saved it to this page. And this page that we've created is this page that's right here in the Eufy Make Studio software. So there is zero alignment issues, zero resizing issues. Everything is just going to work out perfectly today. All right, then I want to make sure that I'm on the correct print settings. So white and CMYK. There was a little bit of white here, so I want to make sure and do white. And then I'm going to go from unknown material. I'm going to go down to plastic. We're just going to do standard print. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Now we're just waiting for the snapshot to get done. Okay, now that we have the snapshot filled in, all you want to do at this point is just line up your print to the center one. See this center one? These ones right here are going to look like they're off a little bit. Don't worry about that. We're just looking at the center. Then when you're done doing that, you just want to make sure and have your print settings selected and then press print. All right, then what you want to do is just press the happy button at the top of your machine and then let this print. It's going to take a total of 1.52 milliliters to get this done printing. Okay, now we are all done, and I can tell you right now that these things look so stinking cute. Now, if you are going to be doing more prints like me, what you're going to want to do is not move your jig, but you want to nicely take out your cutouts and look at that. Perfectly centered, perfectly sized, no issues whatsoever. And you don't want to move your jig. Okay, there we go. Crazy how well these all turned out. Now that we have them all out, because I did not move anything around, all you need to do is put in more of your acrylic things or whatever it is that you're doing mass amounts of. Then after you're done putting everything into the flatbed, you would just essentially do the same steps as what we did before. You just press snapshot on your Eufy Make software, and then because we did not move anything around, all you would have to do is press print. That's it. And then you just keep printing until you're done. But I have to tell you, these things right here turned out so stinking cute. Now all I have to do is take the masking tape off the back, put a little jump ring on that with a little key ring, and there you have it. So a corporate gift for a retreat for Etsy sellers. So stinking cute. These turned out absolutely fantastic. So now that you have watched this video where we used Inkscape to create a jig, and the last video that I had posted was about a jig with the Canva, what process do you think was easier? This one or the Canva one? I do love the fact that we did this completely free versus Canva is a paid for feature to do all of the things that we did for the golf ball, but you gotta let me know. All right, y'all, I sure hope I inspired you to create, and I'll see you on the next one.